Benvenuto! Welcome to Cherry Hill Home Cooking. My name is Mark. Today I feel like baking. So we're gonna make a recipe we're gonna make a cake. I saw this recipe months and months ago and I thought, oh, that looks good. And I've just been saving it for a time. I was really craving something sweet. And it's called a Shirley Temple Cake. Now, I can't remember Shirley Temple. Well, I can. She's way before my time. But of course, Shirley Temple, the child actor, and then I think she became a senator. But anyway, this is, I think this is a take on the Shirley Temple mock cocktail because it's got cherries and lemon and lemon lime soda and so on and so forth. Anyway, that's why it's called a Shirley Temple cake. Sometimes it might show up as just a cherry almond cake. We're going to do it in a bundt style pan because that's what the recipe that I found calls for. So anyway, all right, so what do we need? Of course, we're going to make a cake. We need some all-purpose white flour. There are a lot of recipes that I found out there that use a boxed cake. This one uses, flour, and then you mix everything together. So that's what we're going to need or make. We need 3 cups of granulated sugar. All right, we need maraschino. I've never been able to say it. Well, how do you say it, hon? Anyway, yeah. Those fake red, the cherries aren't fake. Maraschino, yeah, anyway. You know what we mean, guys. I don't know how they get them that color, but I love them. Some people hate them, but I absolutely love them. So we need 1.5 cups of butter, which is 3 sticks of butter. We need 5 large eggs, okay, at room temperature. And, again, in following the drink, I guess it calls for 7-Up. So we're going to use some 7-Up. I've never used pure lemon extract, or I've never used lemon extract before, but that's what this recipe calls for. So I had to go buy some. And then we're going to do a glaze, just a regular powdered sugar glaze for the cake, which of course, we need some powdered sugar. We're going to need some whole milk, a couple tablespoons of whole milk, and we're going to use, the lemon extract to flavor it. All right, before I put everything away and really get to the heart of this, I just wanted, the first step is set your oven at 350. Nope, scratch that. It's not 350, it's 325. I know that seems like a real low temperature to bake at, but that's what the recipe calls for. So I've got my oven preheated to 325. All right, and we're gonna drain these, but we're gonna reserve the juice because we're gonna use the juice later. All right, so we'll let those drain while we're doing the rest of it, but I'm gonna put aside 8 of them. Now I know my cake that I'm using will serve 8, so I'm gonna put 8 of these aside for the decoration. 8 of the nicest ones, nice big ones. But I got 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. All right, and we'll put those guys aside. All right, and then of course some of these might have stems on them, so of course you want to take the stems off. Now, the recipe doesn't say whether or not to cut them or not, at least the one I'm using. I've seen a couple others that dice them up really small. I decided I'm going to cut them in half. All right, so take each cherry and cut it in half, because these are going to get folded into our cake batter. All right, I won't make everybody watch me cut up the cherries. We'll do that in a minute. All right, then the only other thing before we get everything going I wanted to show you is, again, we've done this a lot when we bake. Really, the best way to bake is to measure it by weight. But we're going to take our flour, fill our cup. So we're going to need 3 cups of all-purpose flour. All right, give it a little bit of a shake around and then level off. and do that for each cup. So that's, you know, we're not packing down the flour, so we're trying to get the precise amount for the recipe. All right, we're gonna leave you for a few seconds and we'll fix up the rest of this, and we'll be back when we get everything in the mixing bowl. See you in a bit. Okay, we've got everything just about ready. I did touch a little bit on the bundt pan, so we're gonna need a 10-inch bundt pan. So that's, you know, 10 inches from the top left to right, the diameter, whatever it is, you know what I mean. This is a non-stick one, but I'm gonna use some Pam baking spray. All right, but if you're not using Pam baking spray, or if you don't have a non-stick one, I would suggest buttering it very, very well, or using a vegetable oil and then dusting it with flour, okay? I'm gonna save that to the end till everything's mixed together to spray. So in my mixer, I've got my 1.5 cups of butter and 3 cups of sugar. And while we were getting everything ready, Wade said, "Oh, that seems like a lot of sugar." It does. So there's a lot of butter and a lot of sugar. So this is not low fat or low calorie. But all right, so, and we're gonna start to cream that together. And it says to mix until it's light and fluffy. So that's one of the reasons why we wanna use softened butter, because you'd be there all day if you took the butter right out of the refrigerator and put it in there. So when we're creaming it, so what we want to get it light and fluffy. So we want the butter to absorb the sugar, and it will become nice and light and fluffy. You can see Wade expertly cut all the cherries for me. And now that that's not going to go all over, I'll throw it open on a bit. And that's going to take a good, once it gets incorporated, it's going to take a good 3-4 minutes on medium to get it light and fluffy. I'll let it go for another 30 seconds or so. Scrape down the bowl. Get everything back in the middle. Like I said, I've been wanting to make this Shirley Temple Cake for a long time. Hopefully it's as good as it looks. All right, let's scrape the sides down. My butter was really at room temperature, so it might not take quite 3 or 4 minutes. So this is the first time I've ever made this cake, so we're gonna find if I did it right and if it was as delicious as it looks. All right, I think that looks light and fluffy to me. And like I said, my butter has been out for a good couple hours while I got things ready. So you want to, it's kind of, the butter's gotten a little bit paler. If you touch it a little bit, it's got, almost all the butter is absorbed in there. So I think that looks beautiful. Get back up there. Of course, you can do this with a hand mixer or by hand if you've got the energy to do that. All right, I'm going to put all my eggs in there. You'll notice that this recipe calls for no baking powder or baking soda. So we're counting on the eggs and I guess the little bit of carbonated soda that we're going to use to give us the rising factor. All right, so I just got that on low. We're going to let that get incorporated. And we want to mix this till everything's nicely mixed together. Up a little bit. very natural. It looks delicious. So this is kind of a standard, it's got almost the same measurements you'd use just to make a yellow cake, except with a yellow cake you would add some type of leavening agent. All right, guys, that is all nicely mixed together. I'm just gonna give a little scrape down to our blade here. Make sure we got any chunks of butter in there, and I'll give it a little spin. I'm gonna put that in. All right, then we're gonna start to incorporate our flour. And I'm gonna put about a cup in each time. And I'm gonna put this on low. So normally when you're making a cake, and of course we're using flour because you need to make flour to make a cake. One of the reasons you add your dry ingredients in slowly is you don't want to overwork the flour. So we don't want to get that flour elasticy or gluten-y, because then it's going to come out like bread. So that's why we're going to do this on, at a low speed, and then we're not going to let it mix for too long, because whether you're doing it by hand or in a mixer, you're going to start to develop the gluten if you let it mix too hard. So what we're doing here is we're letting the flour and the eggs and the butter, or I should say the eggs and the butter, to absorb the flour. And we'll go with this last bit of it. Get in there. And I'll let this go a bit, and then I'll scrape down the sides. So what you're looking for is it to just be a nice, smooth, no lumps, creamy batter. I'm going to give the sides a scrape. Make sure everything's off the bottom. And all that nice batter back in there. We're going to mix this up again in a minute, but all right, and then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of our, it smells just like, wait a minute, let me check my recipe. It's 2 teaspoons. 2 teaspoons, not 2 teaspoons of our lemon extract. And our 7-Up. And we're gonna give that a slow mix. So then, of course, our goal is there to get that all incorporated. I don't know how I spilled my lemon extract. I can smell it. Smells good though. I'm just going to put that up a little bit more, and we're going to give it about 30 more seconds. What? Yeah, I'll scrape it down. We gotta fold the cherries in anyway. You maybe lose count. I was counting 1 Mississippi. I think it was 18, 20. All right. I'm sure that's good. Ooh, look at how nice and creamy that is. All right, so let's clean our batter off. So again, our oven is on 350. I'm gonna unplug this before I take my beater off, because you guys all know how petrified I am about the beater catching my fingers. You don't have to be that uptight about getting everything in there. All right, let's push this guy aside. My hands are all sticky. All right, I'll give this a mix. Scrape the sides. And then we'll fold our cherries in. I've seen some other recipes that don't reserve the juice and use grenadine instead.
Grenadine?
Grenadine, which is, I use that a lot if I do a mixed drink. That's generally a, you do a, oops. Sorry about that, guys. That's like, use it in cocktails. What do I use that in? I don't know if I use it in, I don't think we use it in Cosmopolitans. I know there was one cocktail we were drinking there for a while that we used it in. All right, that's pretty good, pretty well mixed, or at least enough for me too. So I'm going to spray our pan very liberally. Make sure, especially if it's a bundt pan with a mold to it, that you get it in all the nooks and crannies there. And let's get it in. Oops. Now, I didn't see, this was just a written recipe that I had, so I haven't seen a video on it, but I think it's supposed to be a thick batter like this. evenly. I don't know, and no one has seen what we're watching today, but I've got Doctor Who on, getting ready for the new Doctor and the new season to begin. I think it starts with the 60th anniversary in November, I think, and then the new season will start sometime in 2024. Okay, I'm just gonna wipe these little areas so that it doesn't burn. Okay, so into our preheated 350 degree oven in the middle rack for, the recipe says, 60 to 70 minutes. I'm gonna check it at 60. I'll probably keep an eye on it. Of course, it's, you know, as always, depending upon how well your oven keeps the heat temperature. Might take a little bit less, might take a little longer. And you're gonna know it's done when you poke a toothpick in, it comes out dry. Okay, set a timer for 60 minutes.
All right, 1 hour, starting now.
And we'll see you in about an hour. All right, I checked our cake at 60 minutes. Then it needed a few more minutes, so it's been about 4 minutes later. And I'm gonna take it out. It has risen beautifully. Let's give it the old toothpick test. Yeah, that's coming out clean. So I'm gonna say that's done. All right, so next important step. I'm hoping I sprayed it up high enough. It rose higher than I thought it would. But all right, so we are gonna move this over to a wire rack, and we're gonna let that cool for just about 10 minutes. Keep in mind, when you're baking a cake and you've got to turn it out, now is not the time to take it out of the oven and go run a few errands, because the longer it stays in the pan, the more likely it's not gonna come out. So about 10 minutes should be good. See you in 10 minutes. I feel like Mickey Mouse. Does he have red hands? No, he's got white hands. Okay, guys, here's the moment of truth, and I honestly don't have a lot of expectations that this is gonna pop out, but it did. I heard it. Yay! Wade had more confidence in me than I did. That's too hot to go off. All right. I can't get it. I guess I'm gonna have to. There we go. Whoa! That looks awesome. All right, I am really, really surprised. Like, we had one little spot there that stuck. That is it. And we'll cover that up with some icing. Okay. Now, the recipe doesn't say to wait. So let's go on to the next step. So I've got a chopstick here. Skewer whatever you've got. And the idea is to go around and poke holes in. And go all the way down to the bottom if you can. Now, why did I pick 8 cherries? Because I figured on each part of the larger bump the cherry will go. And then if you cut there, on the right side, you should get 8 pieces. And it had quite a bit of pokes. coming out, but that's crumb, I think, more. And then, of course, I'm hitting some of our cherries. Oh, it smells delicious. Sorry, guys, I'm just concentrating. That's why. Okay, so let me taste it. The crumb is delicious. All right, so this is the reason we saved our reserved cherry juice. So we're gonna just slowly and you're going to have some that's going to pool at the bottom. Don't worry about that. We can dry that up before we start to glaze it. So, all right, so you get the idea. So just kind of slowly let this drizzle, let it soak in. All right, no sense you watching me do this. Now, after we get this all drizzled on there, we're going to let this cool. We want this to cool pretty thoroughly. Definitely cooler to than just the touch, because we don't want our icing to melt. All right, we'll see you when the cake is nice and cool. All right, our Shirley Temple Cake is nice and cool. And we're going to just throw together our glaze. So we got 1 teaspoon of lemon extract. And then, of course, the amount of milk you're going to use really kind of depends upon how thick you want your glaze to be. All right, so the less milk, be more thicker. Usually it's, at least 2 tablespoons. So I'm going to start with 2. That's not even near enough. But we'll get it mixed in. Ooh, it smells good. The cake. I can't wait for dessert. This is more. I probably could have used a spoon, and it would have made it a little easier. Why I chose that, I don't know. So let's get that all out of there. So much in there. Now, all right. Oh, Josette's wondering, what are they doing up there? There we go. That's much better. Why did you tell me to use a whisk wave?
You're a cook. You could probably use a whisk now.
Yeah, I could probably use the whisk now, but that's good. I didn't perfectly measure the confectionery sugar I had. I didn't have to open up a new box, so I wanted to use what I had left. So to me, that's the right consistency. All right, I like it a little bit thick. I'm just gonna keep stirring till we get rid of any lumps. And that looks pretty lump-free to me. You guys have seen me attempt to drizzle ice some of the other cakes we've done. And it is not my best or my strong suit, but we're gonna try. Give it just a quick taste. I can smell the lemon, but I want to be able to taste it too. And you can. Okay, so we are just gonna start drizzling it on. I won't say I've gotten better at it. I've just gotten better at letting it just go where it wants to go. It doesn't matter if it's a little bit thicker in one piece. And I'm going to use all of it. Doesn't look too bad. See, it drips down, and no matter how perfectly you put it on, it's going to go where it wants to go, right? We need a little bit more over here. Cover up that little tiny piece that got stuck. Yeah, just a couple more. I did wipe up the sides of our, I know Wade's thinking, oh, I didn't know you were going to do the whole thing. Now, this is going to be a long part, but you can cut this out wherever you want. You can you can just show them a part of the, when we first drizzle it on, and then just cut to the finished. They'll say, oh, it's like magic. All right, that's not too bad. I can't say I'm mad at it. And I just wanted to show you. Okay, so then, what did I do with the... Oh, so we got our cherries that we held aside. And I'm just gonna put one there on each piece of the big side of the cake. All right, I won't make Wade to edit anymore. We'll see you when it's ready to eat dessert. All right, guys, there is our finished Shirley Temple Cake. My first attempt at making it. It looks delicious, and I can't wait to eat it. Well, the first thing I have to say about this cake is it's beautiful. It's a pretty looking cake, isn't it? I mean, if you You know, somebody put a piece of that in front of you, you'd be happy.
Yeah.
The next thing I have to say, or the second thing I have to say is, I don't see how a cake that has no baking soda or baking powder has risen that high. But anyway, let's dig in.
Wow. Yeah, it's so moist.
That's how I know it, huh? It's yeah, it's moist. It's very moist. Oh, it's delicious.
It's delicious.
You can taste the lemon and the cherry and even the 7-Up in there, I bet. All right, this was a success, I would say.
Very much so.
I definitely would make this again. All right, well, that's all I have to say at the moment. I'm going to enjoy eating my Shirley Temple Cake.
Well, I'll tell you to please like and subscribe. And check out cherryhillhomecooking.com. See you in the next video.
Ciao.
Bye.
That is tasty.
Oh, it is.
It's got a big clump of cherry.
Yeah, look at the juices on the top there, too.